What are all these small pieces of framing? And why do we need so many of them? And why are they different over here than they are over here? It's called deck blocking, and there's a specific reason for each one. So let me explain to you how we get to that. We've been working on this deck for over a week. It had good bones, it had a good skeleton, but it needed some extra support. Now we're creating some really cool effects and some patterns in this deck by creating what I call a double surface border. So not only are the deck boards going to run this way along perpendicular to the joists, right? There's also going to be two boards that go opposite of these deck boards, and it's called a surface border. But because we're using two boards here, we're calling it a double surface border. So these pieces are like mini joists. They're like little joists like this. These are all long joists that support the main deck. These are going opposite the direction of these joists, and they're here so that they can support two deck boards that are going to go the opposite direction of this deck board here. Then the reason we have this flat area here is so it'll support boards on stagger. So no matter where we want to put where these four boards connect, regardless if it's a miter or a butt joint or a herringbone or the North Star or whatever you guys want to do in this corner, whatever it is, there's support for it. Then there's more blocking. There's blocking over here. What are these blocks for? We're going to get into all of these as we go, but let me grab some samples. We'll start with the surface border blocking first, and then we'll get into each one individually, and then it'll help you guys understand a little bit. If you want to jazz up your deck a little bit, maybe make it a little bit nicer, add some pizzazz, this is how you're gonna do it. Ready to supercharge your next project? Maximo Woods delivers the edge you need. Their ThermoWood process transforms hardwoods like thermal ash into lightweight, bug-resistant, ultra-stable materials that enhance builds such as walls, ceilings, facades, and trim. Sourced sustainably from FSC certified forests. Maximo supports eco-friendly projects that endure for decades with a 20-year warranty. Want to make your creation stand out? Visit MaximoWood.com and explore premium hardwoods that take every build to new heights. Let's get back to that video. All right, guys, so I have some old decking samples. They're just 5.5-inch wide deck boards, okay? They're not what we're using on this deck. They're just to illustrate to you what we're doing, but they're the right width. So I must explain something to you. This deck is gonna have 3 different types of widths of boards installed on it, which is kind of cool. It's something we're doing a little bit more of nowadays than we used to, and I'm kind of excited for it because on this deck, we're using 3 different widths. This width, the 5.5-inch wide board, is gonna be for our double surface border like so, okay? So we're gonna have 2 boards that chase the entire perimeter of this deck. Every little jog, every little nook and cranny, and there's several on this particular deck. These 2 boards will travel the shape of the house and the shape of the deck with these 2 boards. As you can see, these little pieces here, we'll call them joists because technically that's what they are. They're support, but they're a support block. They're gonna be here so that you can take your 2 5.5-inch wide boards. And so what I did was I left a little bit of a gap so that these deck boards that come in this way, we have to have a place to fasten the end of this deck board that's running this way. And then we have to have places to fasten these deck boards that are running this way. And we have to have those support every 16 inches or less on center, okay? So I laid these boards out so that they were equally spaced. These are 15 inches on center, which is a little less than 16. I usually bring my joist spans in a little bit, always. I hardly ever have an exactly 16-inch on center deck. Now this deck was originally framed 24 inches on center. We elected to keep the framing because the framing was in really good shape, and it would have been a shame to just trash it. The frame, the posts, the beams, you can watch an earlier video in this series where I explain all that to you. So go back and watch that one if you want to catch up on why we kept the frame. Then we had to add framing in between the existing joists. So we put new joists in between the existing joists, which gave us about a 12-inch on center frame. But we can go anywhere from 12 to 16 inches with the decking we're gonna use, which is TimberTech AZEK. So these deck boards will be laid like this, okay? And then these 2 boards, basically these boards take precedent over these boards. Now remember, these 2 boards are gonna be 2 5.5-inch wide boards, And then the boards in the field are actually gonna be a multi-width 7 1/4 board, a 3 1/2 board, a 7 1/4 inch board, and a 3 1/2 inch board. So it's gonna be a really cool blend of different multi-width boards, all of the same color. Okay, so that's what these are. These are our support for our border boards. Now, what is this, you ask? Okay, now this is a couple things. The first thing we had to do was we had to add support for our rail post. Because we already had a double here, I had to add one more piece of material that's thick, that goes all the way down so that we can put our screws into this. If I used a flat block, it would only go down 1.5 inches and it wouldn't add enough support for the post. So this is a solid block that goes all the way down. So this is like a triple 2x10, okay? So my rail posts will have 4 anchors right here in this corner. But for my pattern for my deck, regardless of how I do it, if I want to do my surface borders like this, and you guys, you know I'm known as the anti-miter on the internet, or if you didn't, now you do. I don't miter many cuts or joints because this miter will eventually separate unless we do a lot of extenuating circumstance to keep it from doing that with some glue and pocket screws and all that stuff. But instead of doing all that, I just prefer to install my boards this way, like in a herringbone pattern. This deck will be done like this, and then the decking will come in. So it's kind of similar to what I was just explaining earlier, where you have the nailer, or the place we're gonna put screws for the end grains of these two deck boards, but then your corner will look something like this. And the reason for that flat block is now I can put screws through here anywhere I want. Okay, and so that flat block will catch this, this, and this. As I tear these away, you'll see, okay, so like these two screws go into this board. So that flat block took care of that board. These two screws will also be taken care of by that flat block. This one, depending on where I put the screw, on this one, I might end up screwing into the solid block, or I might be able to catch this block, but I doubt it. I'll probably put the screw here. Now, all these screws are gonna be Cortex with a Fast & Master Cortex stainless steel screw and a Cortex plug. So regardless if I put the screw over here, you're not gonna see it once it's corked. So then this deck board will get fastened here and here, and then we'll start fastening it to these mini joists or these support blocks I put in for the surface borders, the surface border blocking. So that's why this has a flat surface, because how else are you gonna catch all those screws unless you just have something, and I like having this flat block so that I can put the screws wherever I want. Now, if I don't protect this block, it's gonna rot. Even though it's pressure treated, when water sits on something flat like this, it's gonna create a problem. So we're gonna use waterproof membrane tape called G-tape over the top of all of this before we lay any decking down. So now I'll show you how we do that. If you go to our channel and you search for G-tape, you're gonna find other videos about this product. Now, we haven't been using as much of it lately because we've been building so many decks out of aluminum, but we still build decks out of pressure-treated hemlock. It's our staple, it's our bread and butter, blah, blah, blah. It's good product, okay? One other comment, you'll notice we have a high spot in this blocking. I recognize that and I realize that. We're gonna be shaving these down so that the decking lays really nice and flat in these areas that are high. I'm just gonna show you how I apply the tape. We're gonna be taking this tape back off and shaving all this down later, but for the video and for demonstration purposes, I'm just gonna lay down some tape, okay? Today I have some 12-inch, which actually is not gonna capture the entire flat block, but it'll get us close and give you guys the idea. And then I've got some 4-inch G-tape that we can use to do this double, because anywhere that moisture can penetrate, we want to protect this line right here. We want to make sure that moisture is not getting down in between this double joist, so that's what, even with pressure treated lumber, if you let water just infiltrate this year after year after year, it's going to become nothing but problems. It'll rot. It'll rot in 8 years, 7 years, maybe less, maybe more. But if you put a layer of tape on here so the water doesn't get through here, then it's going to last 30, 40, 50 years. So it's a much better application before we lay decking down to just cover all this stuff up. We're going to cover every single surface of every joist, the old ones, the new ones, everything on the tops, because that's where the moisture sits and that's where sediment sits and that's where the rot and decay starts, okay? So basically, I'll just take a piece of this 12-inch and I'll give myself a little overhang and I'll rip it, and then you got to get it started. So this one, the 12-inch has a paper backer. So usually when I'm doing my G-tape, I'll get a piece started, but I won't completely strip this paper all the way off of the tape. I'll get a piece started and I'll get it so it's one clean peel away. And then I'll just start by saying, okay, I might want to have a little bit of overhang on the edges, like so. And I'll probably want to start in this corner, so I'll kind of give it a little rub. It's still tacky, but you can kind of move it around if you want to decide, okay, that's kind of where I want it. That looks good, but I have a little bit of wrinkling right here. I'll just peel that back real quick, and then I'll smooth it into this space. And you can see there's some elevations right here, guys, that we haven't planed the joist. We haven't planed this down, so we'll take it and we'll shave the top of this joist before we apply this tape to make this a little bit flatter surface. It's a little bit of work, but it definitely makes it nice when you're finished. And notice how nicely we're covering up this hole. So water will still sit here, but it won't penetrate and it will not go into this joist. So then once I have it like that, then I'll take the paper and I'll start peeling it away, and then I'll just kind of squeeze it out, squeeze the air out of it so it has a nice smooth application so there's less wrinkles. Now it looks like there's something under here. Oh no, it's just a hole where a screw went in. So sometimes you just got to work around those obstacles, right? Now you can use a squeegee. There's different types of hand squeegees and things like that for applying this kind of stuff. I've done that often with vinyl signs and things of that nature. And that's where I kind of got some of my background for applying tape, is I've just been using kind of similar techniques when we're applying for sign making and things like that. Okay, so now, even though this stuff hand tears, sometimes it's just quick if I pull out a blade and go, okay, I wanna roll this corner, so I'm just gonna stab this with a knife and then roll the corner over like so. And I've got a big overhang here. I'll probably go like this and shave the tape so that it goes over the side of the joist a little bit, and then it rolls down the edge, and I'll just finish it off like that, okay? So that's a nice application, nice and smooth. And then when we put in all of our boards, and so this stuff is self-sealing, so it will allow you to put your screws in, it'll seal those up, and the screws won't even leak. So here's an example of what happens over time when fasteners are screwed into the bottom of something without protection. They start to decay and they start to rot away. So you can see, even though this is a beautiful piece of clear cedar, vertical grain, it smells really good like it's brand new. We just cut it, but you can see right here where the cancer is. From the penetration of the screw hole, and moisture over the years just keeps going up in here and it'll just rot it out. And this one is probably the worst example, but you can see how it travels, decay travels when moisture goes into something, and then it has a way to get in there and infiltrate the material and then destroy it. So we're just trying to combat that as much as possible. Again, here's another example. Here's a couple holes, and you can see exactly where these were. These are a couple inches back, and you can see how wood cracks and water travels and it becomes decay. So we're just trying to keep that from happening on a vertical surface or a horizontal surface or a flat surface or whatever you want to call it. Just trying to keep things protected, okay? And that's the way we do it. All right, so now that you have that figured out, what are these, you ask? These are called roll blocking. They're over the beams of the deck. So these are over beam roll blocking, and these are designed for a couple reasons. It helps keep your joists square. Sometimes when things start to dry out and move around and things want to warp and twist, it'll help keep the joist straight while you're installing the deck. Another thing it does, it helps with your cantilevers. So this deck has a large cantilever over this side. It's a 2x10, it's cantilevering almost 3 feet. The roll blocking helps stiffen the cantilever for the deck. Another thing it does, and this is the main thing that it does, and we have these a lot where I live, is called an earthquake. So these blocks help from the deck from pancaking in an earthquake. That's the main reason for them. Roll blocking is so the deck can't roll over and just flatten itself out. I've actually seen this happen before, not in an earthquake, but I've seen a poorly constructed deck basically just fold over like this before it collapsed. So it's just something that would prevent that from happening when things are shaking around and moving, because some of these earthquakes we've had in the past have been pretty strong, and it's quite impressive to see how much things move in a situation like that. To measure these, because the deck was old and then we added these joists in between, to measure these, we always measure at the bottom of the beam where the joists are attached to the beam itself, so that usually if you try to measure it from the top, you're gonna have the wrong measurement. You need to measure from down here, and then you commit to that measurement. Usually we cut a 1/16 shorter than this distance. And then regardless if the joists are too tight or too loose, we use clamps to kind of move things back and forth to be able to drop our block in. Then we square it up, then we attach it to both sides of the joist, and that really locks it together. So the joists are now attached to the beam, and then this block is attached in between the joists. So that's gonna eliminate any rolling or movement this way in a seismic event. So those are kind of mandatory. Now there's one other block that we don't really have installed on this particular deck because we have a double beam situation. It's just the way that this particular deck happened to work out. There's midspan pressure blocking. And midspan pressure blocking works when you have let's say you're attached to the house and then you come out 12 feet to a beam and then you cantilever a couple feet past that. So midspan pressure blocking is where you take the blocks and you put them half distance between the house and the beam to help sturdy up the center of the deck. It helps with deflection. So up and down motion, it'll help with your deflection. It also helps keep your joist in line so that when you're fastening down your decking, it keeps the joist in a straight line. So that, like, let's say the joist might be cupped like this, or they're doing this or whatever. You kind of get them all locked together. When you're walking around on longer spans, the joists are kind of wobbly back and forth. Once you put in your pressure blocking, it locks everything together. So it all has to move as one, and it doesn't want to move very much. So your midspan pressure blocking really works for those longer joists from the house to a beam. Now, because we have a separate beam near the house, and then we have a beam maybe 10 feet or less away from it, we don't have to really do the midspan pressure blocking on this job. We kind of skipped it on this one because the deck is really tight compared to how it was a week ago when we first got here. The joists were 24 inches on center. There was no over the beam blocking, no roll blocking, no blocking of any sort, and definitely no midspan pressure or surface blocking, anything like that. So that's what's taking up a lot of our framing time, is just getting all of the proper support for all the patterns, for all the extra support that we felt it needed, and plus a little bit extra in case we have one of those seismic events like we get around here in Washington State. That's why we have so much blocking. If you found this video helpful or you like our channel, please don't forget to click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content, guys. Don't forget, check out the link below to check out our podcast, or maybe get a Dr. Decks t-shirt. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.